Hi, welcome to Smith and Grezzy. We've got a very, 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 very special guest this week. He's one of my oldest friends, go right back to Queensbury Music Centre band years and years ago. It's the Paganini, as I call him, of the tenor horn, and it's the one and only William Billy Rushworth. Welcome, Billy.
Hi,
Evening,
Billy.
Simon. Evening, Sandy.
You all right?
Thanks for those kind words. That's a bit nice to have you say that when you've got one of my idols next to you.
Who's sitting in your house, Simon?
It's you, and you know it is. Without you, I'd not have done what I've done.
Billy,
Wow.
obviously you've led a very colourful playing career, and a great career at that. Playing, I think you started on cornet many years ago, and then you progressed to tenor horn, which is probably where you've made your name more than anything. But what we're interested in is how far back does this Rushworth family go in brass bands?
Oh, in brass bands. Well, I can go back so far, Simon.
Yeah.
But I know a relation, William Rushworth. I'm not named after this one, but I think he was the first conductor of Black Dyke in 1860.
Wow.
And he's on the band
That's
room
not a
wall.
bad start then, is it?
Yeah, and to be fair, he got followed. I think at the time of the formation of the band, I think there were 8 of our family in it.
Jeez.
Wow.
Because
I never knew that.
Oh no, well, my relation who married, she actually married John Foster. I'm related to. She's my great aunt.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, so that
See?
goes back. Yeah, it's a long story, but basically, my granddad and great uncle Bill, which is where I sort of know my family from. I didn't know much, to be fair, when I first started, and my dad never mentioned that I'd got any relatives that played, because I was brought up in Australia.
Of course, I forgot about that. You came over to Queensbury in your late teens, didn't you?
Well, very early teens, 16,
Yeah,
Simon,
right,
when I first
yeah.
met you. We don't
Right.
say how long ago that is.
Oh, a long time.
But yeah, so
But,
Grandad and my great uncle Bill, Grandad was first on with Black Dyke, and Uncle Bill actually was the youngest principal cornet Black Dyke's ever had at 17.
God.
He
Wow.
was, which never gets mentioned, I'm afraid. But yeah, he was 17, and when Harold Pinchers went to war, and my great uncle Bill took over.
You're right.
Wow.
Yeah, so he went on then to play with Bess's the Barn, because they actually, they're not so too dissimilar to my carry on with brass bands. they actually fell out. My great granddad Charlie, they fell out with the band because the bus wouldn't drop them off home.
That sounds about right, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, so Grandad and Uncle Bill jacked.
That's brilliant. So they were obviously the colourfulness of your own life follows. You're following on from generations past.
Yes, which has been a bit of my downfall, as you both know.
Well,
Billy,
it's the character.
Bill, when you were in Australia, were you playing then, or did you just pick it up when you got across here?
Oh, no. Do you want me to start how I first started playing?
Aye, go on.
Oh, wow. Well, my mum and dad they were both teachers, music teachers in Australia. My dad's actually a blacksmith, but and I never wanted to play. I was very good at Australian rules football.
Okay.
Right.
And I was going to pursue a career playing Aussie rules. Anyway, my dad says, why don't you start playing? I thought, no, I get enough trouble as it is. So anyway, one day I turned up with a trumpet from school. I was 11. And my dad says, what's that? I says, well, I want to learn to play, Dad. And he says, are you sure? And you'll both appreciate this. He sat me down and he said, well, here's what you're going to have to do. And he said, you're going to have to practice. When you come in from school, you've got to sit down, have a cup of tea, do your homework. Then you're going to practice. You can go out and play. Then you do more practice.
Right.
And he said, do you still want to play? I says, well, yeah, I do, Dad. So I went home. I went to school next day, and I came home and there was a brand new Sovereign cornet waiting for me.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was it, just from me saying, but I didn't give up till I got to the top then.
But the thing is, you've given your dad your word, haven't you? And your dad was not one, because I can remember him fondly, not one to go back on.
You daren't, dare you, Simon?
No.
No,
Lovely.
you didn't go to me dad.
Ken Rushworth, brilliant, a wonderful fella. So obviously you progressed through banding in Australia. And how did you come back to the UK then? Were they not settled?
No, not at all. We've been there 11 years, Simon.
Wow.
And if any of my Australian friends are listening to this, they'll appreciate what happened. I basically, without being a big head, I became too good, if you know what I mean. I was 15 and I'd won everything I could win. And my dad said, well, you're just a big fish in a very stagnant pond here. We're going to take you back to England and you can play with some real bands.
Yeah.
And they brought me home, and wow, I mean, you'll both appreciate this. When we came back, Mum wanted me, Dad always wanted me to like my great Uncle Bill. He was the one that went, I think he was the first trumpet player or cornet player from brass bands to go to the Sadler's Wells.
Wow.
Okay. Play for the RPO and all the old 50s and 40s films. He's doing a lot of the trumpet work on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Dad wanted me to be this professional trumpet player. I was never suited to cornet, I don't think. I was all right. I mean, I joined Frickley when we got Roger and Steve Riddler. So I was never going to be top man with those two guys in the band. Mm-hmm. So we came home and I went to college with Philip McCann at Huddersfield, Sandy.
God.
Wow, yeah. I didn't last long because studying wasn't for me. But Philip said to me a couple of weeks in, really, I want you to come to Black Dyke. I think you can come on Repiana Cornet. It was before you went, Sandy. I'm not sure if Simon would be there then.
No, I was after Sandy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I went up and I was 16. And I know it to this day. I'll never forget it. It's the day that Philip's mother died.
Okay.
Because I went in, Philip said, you'll be all right. Just sit next to me. I'll tell you what to do. I'll look after you. You'll be absolutely fine. It was in the days where if he recommended you, you didn't need to go before the conductor first.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Ken Mack was there, I think, on second man.
Yeah, he was there. Ken Mack was there when I joined. Yeah.
Interestingly, Ken Mack, he went to Australia, didn't he?
He did, yes.
He went the other way.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, they sat me on top man. I sat next to Ken. And David Laux was the resident then.
Yeah, He was there when I started as well. Yeah.
Really?
So it must have been around the sort of... David Laux was there about 79 to 81, 82, I think, maybe.
This would be
something like that. Yeah, yes. There you go. Yeah.
And I sat on the end, and I'll never forget it. We did... I made not a fool of myself. I played Hailstorm for the solo. We did Journey into Freedom. The first piece in was Judges. And I set off. And imagine this as a 16-year-old. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Jacko. Wow. I had hair then, and it stood up on the top of my head. I just thought,
that's...
wow.
That's strange because that's virtually the same sort of audition I did. So I auditioned in 81 and it was the same things. We got there was a march of some description and then it was into things. I think we played Judges. We did Journey into Freedom. I did a solo stood in front of the band, but they were proper auditions though, weren't they? They weren't just come and sit along, sit in. You had to say, right, what are you playing? And you played what was in the pad,
I was lucky, Sandy, really, because obviously Dad knew them all. So they're all good friends. So I didn't feel too in awe until them basses started with that. Then I just realised what I was sat amongst.
It was different. Simon, we were talking a couple of days ago maybe about when I joined and then went back up to Whitburn and they said, oh, it must be really hard playing with Black Dyke. Yeah. And I said, actually, it's easier because you're not worried about anybody else, are you, Bill? You can just you can right. I'm here to do my bit, and I've got to make sure that's right. The rest of it will sort itself out. You're not worried about whether, the people you used to say, "Oh, are they going to come in the right place? Are they going to? Is it going to sound like a, fart in a colander?"
Just look after yourself.
Exactly. And from that point of view. It was a lot easier, wasn't it? But they put you through the mill, though, didn't they? In the auditions.
So. Without none of us would have played like we have done.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what's missing today, I think. I mean, as you know, both of you, you'll turn over. I mean, obviously, I decked for Black Dyke when you were there, Sandy, and you turn a page over, and there'd be half of it missing.
Exactly, I know.
What's coming next?
Yeah, I know.
You got to learn
all the corner bits would just be missing off the old stuff. Yeah,
it was
old
like
manuscript.
Depping for VB though when he used to change the notes.
Yeah, but no, I did that at all. But
oh wow!
So Billy,
Louts, he was a bit off with me, to be fair, because we did Journey to Freedom, and I played the slow solo, Beautiful. Right. But then we came to the 3/4, the ba-da-bam, ba-da-bam, I saw 3/4, 16-year-old kid, so I went da-dam, bam, da-dam, bam, and he looked at me and says, "What do you think that is?" I says, "Well, it's in 3/4, Mr. Louts." He says, "Oh no, it's a little bit fast now. Would you like to have another go?" And he was, to be fair, there was no need for that for a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, again, it's cometh the character and all that.
You weathered it, yeah.
I did it, I played it, but my dad took exception to the way he treated me.
Right. Okay.
So I said, "No, there's no way you're going up to Black Dyke." So I stayed at Queensbury for a while, Simon, with Simon.
Right.
I was on top man.
How did he come to be at Queensbury? Was it your dad's friendship with Andrew Owenson?
Oh, you'll love this, you two. Right. When we first come back from Australia, my dad rang Jeff. "Jeff, come and listen to the lad. See what you think of him." So, with a view to going to Hammonds, you see. But my dad never wanted me to be a donkey worker, a young kid. He wanted me to build up slowly. So Jeff came, sat in my granddad's front room, opened my arbon. "Right, here you go, lad. First of the 14 studies." Right.
Okay.
Off I went. Battled my way through it. Got to the end of it, reasonably unscathed. He said, "Wow, lad," he said, "that wasn't bad." He says, "Do it again." And for anybody that's listening, that's ever even tried to play it, you don't try and play it twice, do you?
Yeah, no.
So Jeff basically said, "I've no room at Hammonds for him, Ken." He said, "But he can come to Brodsworth on second man." So my dad said, "Oh no, I think Roger had just gone to Frickley then."
Right.
So I says, "No, he's not going up there, Jeff. I'll take him up to Queensbury with Andy." So as you know, Simon, I walked in on second man at Queensbury.
You did.
And if you remember, as plain as day, he's still my friend now. David Crisp was on top man.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And he missed a rehearsal.
Yeah.
So, and again, what we were talking about earlier, Sandy, how things have gone. He missed a rehearsal, did David? So Andy said, "Right, young man, up you go, top man. Grasp it with both hands." And that's all he said to me. I played. And the next rehearsal, David sat down warming up. Andy says, "Well, Mr. Owenson, it should be." He says, "You're not sat there now, David. You sat down there." Put him on second man, didn't he, Simon?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can imagine that stuff happening. Tell me a bit about Andy Owenson, because he's a person that I obviously know in the main through the arrangements, because every band, I've been in their manuscript arrangements knocking about some cracking stuff.
Yeah.
But you two obviously had first-hand experience of him as a musician, not just a conductor. But tell me a little bit about Andy Owenson.
He was a French horn player, actually, Sandy.
Right.
And he gave me dad. He was just a tremendous musician. He was a nasty piece of work, though, wasn't he, Simon?
He was. Well, he could be. He could be.
Yeah. Well, they had a quartet going back a few years when my dad played on trombone quartet, and they used to smoke in rehearsals then, Sandy.
Yeah.
So Andy Owenson's that honest him. So my dad, they'd had a fag break, and he says, "Right," from letter F or whatever. So he put his fag behind his ear, my dad, which Andy had spotted this. So he just carried on and wouldn't stop.
Right. I knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
But yeah, he was a tremendous person. I obviously can't say too much on here, but there's two very well-known arrangements for brass band by a certain well-known person. They don't belong to him. They were both Andrew Owenson's. And
I've heard this story.
Simon cast his mind back. We had it at Queensbury, where the solo wasn't on a euphone, it was on a horn. And it was Andy Owenson. But yeah, we can't say that on here anyway.
We can. Well, we can. It
can
remain.
Cut it out. If I said it, you're going to have to cut it.
All right, okay. I get you. Yeah. Oh, I've seen that happen as well. Yeah.
I'll tell you after we've finished recording. But yeah, he was a great person. And again, I was brought up with those type of people that made you do,
Well, this brings us on to the sort of environment that I think we probably all of us were brought up in. It was quality music, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Transcriptions and all that. And also part of that was the stuff you just talked about the trombone quartet your dad was in and all that. Quartets and solo contests and all that were rife, weren't they? You could go weekend to weekend doing this, and that was the sort of environment that we were all brought up in to a certain extent. You two probably more so down here. I was up in Scotland. There were still a lot of them, but probably more concentrated down here. That was an integral part of our brass band education, wasn't it?
And I think that once give you the bottle to play on stage first and foremost, because there were no hiding.
No,
but also with quartets especially, the sound that you need to produce, the amount of work you need to put in, and the listening you have to do, brings. I always think when you see these judges giving a band in the prizes that's out of tune, the intonation's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I hate people when they say, "Oh, it's not in tune." No, it's not. It's in tune, but the intonation's out. That's what's wrong. And if you can't do that, you shouldn't even be in the top three. I'm afraid.
No.
Not in my eyes, but contesting. I mean, Grandad, he was second to none. Star of Bethlehem. They used to make the money, Sandy, doing that.
Yeah.
All over the country, you know.
Your granddad, is that Charlie?
No, that's Sam.
Sam.
Named my oldest after him, yeah. He was solo on for Bickershaw, Brighouse. He went wherever the money was. St Kilda's professional band. And Frickley as well. Frickley in probably the 20s, I think. He was a famous player. Absolutely brilliant. And he played Star of Bethlehem, Sandy.
Yeah.
He'd have rum under his chair while he was playing. and the first note, he never used to produce it. This is what my Auntie Gail told me. He just used to let the air come through till the note came out, and then off again.
Right. And then he start counting. Yeah.
No danger of splitting it. There's a famous story about my dad with Peter McNabb. Obviously, Black Knight days. Remember Peter?
Yeah, bass player, B-flat bass player. Yeah.
Because in the 50s and 60s, there used to be. I think I want to go off what my dad's told me, and David Horsfield and people like that. There'd be hundreds of entries, and the judge would have a whistle, and if you played the first bar wrong, he'd blow the whistle, off you went.
Right.
But the famous story about Peter McNabb, him and my dad had gone somewhere, and they were both playing the Iceberg. My dad on euphonium and Pete on B-flat bass, and he set off, and he split the first note, so he stopped, waited, then tried to start again, and came in a third higher, and said, "That's enough, I'm off."
And that was it.
He just walked off, He just thought, And the famous one of, because our family, thinking about, when he asked me to do this, I looked and thought, well, I've actually got my other side of my family as well, on my mum's side.
You're going to say your mum was a talented musician, wasn't she?
A pianist and a violinist,
Yeah.
God. The family to start with, sorry to just go off beast a bit here, but there were 8 children for Grandad Charlie, and every one of them played. They were all from Claremont in Halifax. And I got my Auntie Olive, she was a piano and viola player. Auntie Lena, violin. Robert was flute and piccolo. Obviously, my granddad Sam played horn, but he was also a piano and a cello player.
Wow.
Uncle Bill, player.
Where were they learning these instruments? Was it at school or in their own?
Grandad Charlie taught him. He was in his own right, yeah. And there was Uncle Arthur. He was top man with Brighouse in, I think, either 20s or 30s, but did the cruise ships on trumpet. And Uncle Donald played for Brighouse and Bickershaw on E-flat bass.
Wow, this is some legacy, isn't it, for the Rushworth family?
Well, on the other side, my mother's Uncle Billy Hickman, who got killed down the pit. Because it's really weird, this, because I ended up working down the pit in South Hempsall, as you know, and played with Frickley Band. I hadn't realised that my mother's uncle, he got killed down the pit, and he was principal cornet with Frickley in the 20s.
Oh.
Billy Hickman. Because we all remember Jim Hickman, don't we?
I was going to say, any relation to Jim?
Yeah.
Well, here's the story, Simon. You've led me straight into this one. They'd been round South Hempsall after a rehearsal one night, and they lived at the same house. I think either Jim must have been lodging with my Auntie Eleanor or something like that. And they'd had a few pints, and they got arrested for drunk and disorderly. It's true story. So when they're getting questioned, they go and say, name Hickman, Bill, and gave the addresses wherever they lived in South Empsall. And then it was Jim's turn. He says, Hickman, Jim, same address, no relation. Because Jim Hickman, he was actually the first conductor I played for when we first come back. I did Whit Friday with Clifton and Lightcliffe.
He was a wonderful character. I'll tell you a little story that I got told years ago. Alan Exley, the great Alan Exley, went for a cornet lesson to Jim.
Town fan as well, if you don't mind me adding.
Yeah, Huddersfield Town. Anyway, so Alan Exley, young lad, and he had hair then, turns up to Jim Hickman's, and Jim must have said, play me a G or a C, whatever, one single note, and he's hanging on to it, and while he's doing this, he's lighting his pipe. And all of a sudden, Alan Exley fell off the note, and he says, right, that's the first fault with your playing. He says, that can't sustain.
Hey, Simon, we've got to tell that little story. On the podcast about a month ago, we did an interview with John Gillam.
Yeah.
And when we stopped recording, John told this brilliant story about Jim Hickman. I'm going to have to try it. It'll be absolutely nothing like John told it. But in the very late 60s, 69, at Brighouse, they were doing those concerts in Huddersfield Town Hall. You know, the one in March, one in October, that sort of stuff, you know. So whenever it was, or whenever they did them, it might have been different months, but they had a band boss, but people were starting to get cars, you see. So with it just being across the hill, you know, in Huddersfield, a lot of the lads in the band were travelling in cars. So there was a band boss, but I think Jimmy got to the band room in Brighouse, the old band room, and there was nobody there, but except a lot of the women committee that were there to provide all the butties and everything else. And so the bus was full of women, right? And Jimmy was most, you know, disturbed by the fact there weren't any men in the band room, you know, to help him and stuff. And apparently, the next rehearsal, he says, we have to have a chat. He says, where were you all? You know, you all went in bloody cars, like, you know, you should have been on the band bus. He says, there was more men stood on the moon last weekend than there was on our band bus. He says, oh, God. You know, and that was Jimmy Hickman, you know.
He was a real character.
That's why I got bulleted at Dykes, Andy, because of a woman on the band bus. Yeah. Right. I refused to get on.
Billy, you can't do that.
Well, I know, as you know, mate. No, I mean, I've absolutely no problem, but I think it was the first one ever, certainly while I was there, so I presume it didn't happen before. But it was. I think it was the fact that we never got told about it, because as you know, Sandy, when Jim came in, it was a bit, because obviously I replaced you, didn't I? And he came in with his own ideas, and it was. I actually liked him, but he could be a nasty piece of work.
I think, I mean, we've talked about this before, Simon, haven't we?
Yeah.
About Jim Watson. And I stayed for a little bit. And my biggest problem was, I mean, when I left the band then in 92, I was the longest serving member, only by a couple of weeks, because I was left, you know, and everybody had decided they'd either got the sack or thought, that's me, I'm off. Yeah. And I was still sat there thinking, what am I going to do? And it was like everybody that I'd been there with and for had gone. So I thought, I can't do it. You know, but we did an area with Jim, we did a recording and all that. But we've been talking already about Jim Watson and saying, you look back at the sort of legacy of the stuff he did when he was at Dyke. I mean, no, he was on the go before that, especially with the likes of Desford and stuff. Very, very successful.
And Brighouse, I think, was his first band one.
Yeah, exactly.
I played with him at Brighouse.
Some of the things, I mean, they still stand the test of time now, don't they? The Walton CDs and the
Planets,
and all that sort of. But he always played good quality music, didn't he? He didn't play crap.
Yeah.
And I think that was his Well, obviously he's got a band background, but it was his orchestral background as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, what I used to love, Sandy, with that one, going on again about disciplinarians, I mean, obviously, he filled the band after what had happened, and maybe some of the players certainly weren't as good as, we'd followed on, with certain people and stuff. But he'd turn out on a Thursday night, and I remember when we won on Cloudcatcher, Thursday night, Cloudcatcher came out, and he said, that's on Saturday.
Right.
He thought, wow, and that was a regular occurrence. I mean, hopefully we'd all seen them anyway, but no, they had to come out, that's on, and you had to stand there, sink or swim.
Yeah, I mean that's even when he started straight away, and Morgan was telling the story. We chucked things like Variations on a Ninth on a program with a quick run through, and he said that's on. That is probably a legacy of the way he was used to rehearsing stuff in the orchestra. One rehearsal, two rehearsals, stick it, and it was on.
You're not expected to know the
to the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're also expected. You're also expected to be able to sight read and read. Well,
that's the thing. Sam,
read well.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian Brooke, don't you? He sat next to me at Oldham at the moment. Adrian.
Yeah.
And I turn around because it's not getting any easier. I can play 20 minutes now as good as I ever could play.
Right.
But that's about it, because I only rehearsed to do that. And what I found I've lost is the ability to read a couple of bars in front. Now, I always could. Yeah. Which is probably why I used to dep a lot with like Brighouse and stuff, because you know what's coming. Yeah. But now my brain just doesn't work as quick.
Okay.
Struggling, but it's not.
But I think again, it's all tied in with this legacy of the way we were brought up with solo contests, quartets, reading music, listening to other stuff, and just being better readers. That it seems to be, from the people I talk to now, it seems to be quite a problem that people aren't used to just sight reading music.
Yeah. Well, Dad, when I was growing up, Sandy, my dad used to put the arbor on my stand. He only taught me for the first 3 or 4 months, I think. Then he sent me to his friend because he said, I can't teach anymore. You have to go to me, my mate. But he just opened the arbor up and said, play that.
Right.
Play that. And do you remember the old, writing rounds? You used to get all the solos, little books.
Soloist companion.
Is that what it was? Yeah. And that would go on the stand. Play that solo.
Yeah.
That's when he fell out with me, because the Enfield Championship, it was like this new competition in South Australia, and it was for seniors and everything, but it was a decent prize, I think. And I was 15, and my dad wanted me to play Rimmer's Carnival of Venice. I says, I'm not playing that, Dad. I don't like it. He says, what do you want to play then? I says, My Old Kentucky Home. He says, you're not playing that. He says, it's a kid's solo. You'll win nothing with that. I said, well, I'm playing it, Dad. And he says, if you do, I'm never speaking to you again, right? Sure enough, I played My Old Kentucky Home with my mother accompanying on piano. And I won. And
your dad used to give you some tough love, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. And greatly. He never once said I'd played well. He'd always said, once so bad, you did all right.
Well, when we were knocking about together
a big compliment, though.
Billy, when we were knocking about a bit, I can't remember how many years ago, your dad used to say, I think the world of our Bill, but don't ever tell him.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he's a wonderful player, but don't tell him.
Do you know something? And the fact he actually didn't say that made it even more special, because, we're getting back to funerals now, but on his deathbed, he died in France. His heart had given way, basically. And somebody took him into hospital, and he just said, tell I will, I love him. He never told himself. Never told himself, ever.
That's typical of that sort of generation, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
to some extent.
Do you mind if I just jump ship here about funerals?
No, go on.
Jeff Whittam.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you go to his funeral, Sandy?
No, I couldn't.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, that got me playing in, because I'd packed in for a while to do a bit of conducting, and Jeff had always told me, don't you be packing in early like I did. He says, you've a lot to offer as a player yet. So I quite like it, Jeff. And I thought, there's more money in conducting anyway. So anyway, on his deathbed, he asked for me to play De Meltzer at the funeral.
Oh, lovely. Right.
Oh, so gee whiz. What did I do? A Boda de Tenron, because mine had long gone. Boda de Tenron, I practiced like hell to get through De Meltzer. Anyway, I sits in the band, and there were Waddy next to me. there were Jim, Maurice Murphy. I think Cloughie played, Stephen Lord. I mean, what a band. It was unbelievable. So I stood up to play Demelza right in front of Jeff's coffin. Oh, I tell you what, I didn't miss a note. I sat down, I kissed the coffin at the end of it, and I sat down, and Waddy says, "How the hell did you do that?" I said, "Well," I says, "if I'd have missed out," I says, "that coffin had been shaking all over the place."
I know.
Oh, God.
That's wonderful. So when you went on, I think you were on Repiana at Frickley, weren't you, Billy? What made you go on Horn there? Because it just suddenly happened to us outside.
Well, it's a long story, but well, I say it's a long story. I can make it as short as we want. But yeah, what happened? I was on Rep. With a great team of cornet players. Then I think when I first joined, I went on third man. Roger was on Rep. So the cornet section of them days was Riddler, Roger, Steve Riddler, let's just call him by his proper name, Steve, Roger, John Hudson. Do you remember John?
I remember John.
Yeah.
Not the Foden's John.
No, they played it grimy, John.
That's the one. There were John, and he was at Black Dyke when I first went as well. What else have we got there? Crockers came later on SOP. So anyway, they swapped me and Roger around because at that time, they all said Roger's sound wasn't great. So they wanted the Rep to be the next top man sort of thing. Anyway, that was a bit of a foolish decision, wasn't it? As Roger went on to prove, which I think Brighouse made Roger. It was unbelievable. Yeah. He's always been a great player. So I was on Rep, and Brian Rostron, we'd done the Yorkshire area, and I think the mine workers came after when we used to have the same test piece at the mine workers contest.
That's right.
And now Brian Rostron got into a bit of a fracas with one of our players, and the band sacked him.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, that's my chance. I'm not going to get top man here. I'll go on. Thinking about that, I'll give that a go. So I was really champing at the bit, wanting to go on solo on. They said, no, you're not ready yet. You're not ready. We'll get Stephen House to play at the mine workers. You can play second on. Oh, God. And you know what it's like, Sandy, because you came off cornet as well, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I went from cornet to flugel, but then I just needed off. I needed off flugel. And one of the horn players in Whitburn left to join the army. Marco Marzella. He went to play French horn in the army. I said, right, I'm having that. And that was it. The horn thing was just an accident. It was to get off flugel, basically. Right. Same sort of thing.
Yeah, but you'll know your low register, or certainly mine, was non-existent when I first went on it.
Yeah.
And we did Waverley. That was the test piece.
Oh, okay.
And my first entry is a low A to G naturals and then at bottom F sharp. So I got the biggest mouthpiece I could find to get these out. And I remember fuming because Steve House, as you know, Waverley starts with solo horn, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, I thought, what an easy piece to prove myself on. Let's have this. They won't put me on. So Steve came on, and I'm expecting him to play it really, really quiet. He did heckers like. It was as loud as I've ever heard. And I'm sat there living.
I was sat right behind him, Billy, on E flat.
Oh, we're living Simon. And I'm thinking, oh, God, I'm going to get in on this low A now. But yeah, after that contest, they moved me straight up to solo on.
Yeah.
That's good.
And
good.
Go on, Simon.
You did quite a few years, didn't you, at Frickley? Because you worked there, didn't you?
Yeah, it was after miners' strike. The band, we went down to 6 players, and it was a bit rough.
Yeah, and then you ended up at Hammond's with your great friend Jeff.
Oh yeah, well Dick actually to start with.
Was it?
Dick.
Right.
It was Dick, yeah, and he says, right, you'll have to come into boardroom for an audition. so I went, and bearing in mind he'd been asking me about going to Leyland well before that anyway.
Yeah.
So he says, right, come into boardroom. So I start clipping my own case. He said, oh, don't bother getting that out. He says, we're having a cup of tea. So that was it. So he set me on, and I could play any cornet solos without music, not a problem. But when I went on horn, I seemed to get a bit of a mental block about playing without music. Yeah, oh yeah. So if I always play with my stand a bit lower down, so it didn't look so bad. And he made me play Over the Rainbow without music, did Dick? Sets off into it. I thought, oh, that's all right now. I thought, where am I?
Right.
I was lost. So I was it took me about. I says, never again, Dick. And
Oh
then
dear,
obviously
Billy.
Jeff come back.
Bill, do you remember I went with Leyland to America. You were playing solo horn, weren't you?
Oh right, yeah. When we
When was that? Late 90s or something?
late
Because you were a first horn player short for this tour of America.
Right.
And Dick asked me because it was, we'd got big pals at the Scottish Youth Band. He was wagging, I was tutoring horn and stuff. And I remember doing that. I can't remember. Where did we go? Alabama or somewhere?
All of it. And
Arkansas.
Jackson Hole, Richard, yeah.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
That must have been some section with you two in it.
Was that the one where what did he play? What was that thing that Andy Duncan arranged? It was a big finale thing.
Oh, the Gale.
The Gale, and he cut the band off like 3 times at the end, but we had another 6 bars to go, and then he kept up to join back in, Dick. And eventually, he sort of gave up a bit, Oh, you buggers, we still had another 6 bars to go, Dick. We just kept going. Yeah. But he's another character like Jeff.
I really wish you'd have done that contest last year, Sandy, because when my days come to a close, it would have been lovely. And the thing is, without naming names, because I knew my time was coming to an end, I asked John Collins, could he get a decent horn player, a young lad up and coming, and I'd sit first to him.
Right. Yeah.
He tried it, and this lad, why do kids today just think it's all about playing on the end? Why don't they want to play do you remember at Dyke? We had the best third and second cornet players in the world, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because that's what they wanted to do.
But it was people. I was talking yesterday with Morgan about Stuart Derrick. Stuart knew his job. Best second euphonium player.
Yeah.
And that was what it was like all around the band, wasn't it? Fred Ellis and people like that.
Everywhere.
You had people, David Essex on horn and stuff, first horn player. He had played solo, but it's a strange one, isn't it? It's
They all want the limelight, and I don't know why. Because I said to this lad, because he'd taken a load of the solos off him in that Enigma, variation on Enigma. John wanted me to play all that, where it's first solo, first, second on.
Yeah.
He says, "Can you play it all?" He says, "Because it sounds awful."
Right.
I said, and I just said, "Look, you sit on end, lad." I says, "I'll play what he wants me to play. You hold your instrument up, make it look like you're playing. I'm not bothered." Yeah. That's for you.
So,
go on, mate.
Well, go on. Give us, because we were going to talk about this anyway.
Yeah.
How do you think things have changed, or where do you think we're at, and such?
Banding.
Yeah.
Well, we're all a similar age. I think. In fact, I think Sandy's the oldest, isn't he, Simon?
Yeah, by a mile.
Is he by a mile?
What?
By
a couple of years, that's it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's not mention age, but no, without the risk of trying to sound like an old fart, I just don't think. That's why I've stopped conducting now, because I'm a dinosaur. I want things.
We joined the club because we're dinosaurs as well.
Yeah, we get regularly.
Just want things to be right. Want people to do the right thing. Turn up at rehearsal with at least 15 minutes to go, so as we don't have to mess about playing hymn tunes because there's no need. Let's get straight into the important. I'm not saying hymn tunes aren't important.
Yeah, no, I get you.
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying when you're rehearsing for a contest, you want to be straight in and get on. But we don't want to. What's Nada saying? I'm not here to supervise your personal practice.
Yeah, you've told me that, as well, Simon.
And that's right, isn't it? But I don't know. The kids of today, they seem to want to play 1 million notes an hour, as high as they can play, and think it's clever. I mean, I said earlier about, maybe off the record, about Sandy. Without you, Sandy, and this is not blowing smoke up, I wouldn't have been the player I was. Purely and simply, you were the man to beat.
Right.
You were the one I wanted to be better than. Yeah?
Right.
I'm not going to say I was or I'm not. That's totally irrelevant. I totally respect you, and I work my...
I mean, there was people who you thought, I'm going to have to work now to make sure that in my bit in the band is as good as I can get it as far as what else is going on in other bands, and we pushed each other on.
Exactly.
I don't know if there's that. One thing I don't quite get these days is you called it social theatre, didn't you, Simon?
Yeah.
And people being content with fifth or second, all
Sandy,
that sort of stuff.
Sorry, Sandy, I've got to stop you there. My dad was teaching at a private college in Australia called Rostrevor College, and it's one of them. I don't know if I get them right way around. It's our equivalent of public school where they have to pay to send the kids. Yeah. And my dad was taking the bands, and he was insane. My dad, the drive he had to win. Not at all costs. He had to win fair, but, win. And the headmaster pulled him in and said, Ken, I've really got to have a word with you about this obsession you've got with winning. Why has it got to be win? And my dad says, well, what prizes are there for coming last?
Yeah.
And that was my dad's answer.
Jacko used to say to me, second prize is second loser.
Yeah.
You've lost.
First loser, yeah.
First loser, yeah.
Yeah, first loser. You've lost.
Yeah. Well, going back to when Jeff died and I played at the funeral, that's when they asked me to join Brighouse. And I thought, I'll give it a go because it's a band I'd like to have played for. So
it was me that rang you, Billy.
It was Simon, sorry, yeah. And he'll remember this. I broke my ribs, Sandy. I was in France and a water bottle fell on me. It broke 3 ribs and we went to the Nationals and I couldn't support at all. And I had quite a high part, certainly for our era, Sandy, not like they're writing now, but and was it Breath of Souls, Simon?
Possibly,
yeah. And I went, nothing came out on the first day. Then I recovered, but I had more bib than normal because I was shaking a bit. But I resigned on back of that because I missed a note. I resigned.
Right, yeah.
I said, that's me done. But then when you listen back to the recording, I think there's another 24 that should have jacked at the same time. Right. But that was just me, and I'd lost my confidence with that. I just thought, oh no.
So, Billy, you mentioned that you might be packing in playing fairly soon. Are you going to dabble with conducting again? Because you've had some good success.
Oh yeah! Oh wow! The highlight was taking Prickly from 6 players to winning Grand Shield.
Yeah.
And great performance. We put Scott's Co-op into second with Nick conducting them. No, I love conducting. Barnsley Brass. Some of the players there, unbelievably bad, right? Honestly, you've not heard anything like it.
Just say what you think, Bill. Say what you think.
Hey, Sandy, you know what you're going to get.
I know.
You're busy with that editing, aren't you?
No, that'll be in. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, we went on and had a bass section. They couldn't blow the nose, right? Seriously. And we did Napoleon on the Alps. And I got Graham Horsfield to play on E-flat bass for me. And the opening just starts off with all the boom, 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 boom. It was, I thought, what we're going to do here? So I says to Trevor on B-flat bass, I says, Trevor, just tap your mouthpiece to that rhythm, will you? So we go boom, 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 boom. Perfect pitch. I says, that's your job.
Right.
So I got Graham played it on E-flat bass, and Natalie, is it Bamforth? She was on the other B-flat bass. Yeah, and she just went boom, 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 boom. So, and it was absolutely perfect. We won. Everybody were fuming because I got no baritone, just 2 euphoniums. One was my wife, and she played all the baritone parts.
Wow.
Covered it on horn. And so we won. And then we went to the Nationals on Episodes for Brass, that Gareth Church, I think it was.
Yeah.
Some nice moments. And I always wore my band because I've always took pride in being bang on my tempos. When we won on Tallis, they said the tempos were on the nail. A lot of people copied David King's reading with YBS and took it really fast.
Yeah, and he puts a lot of space in the real slow stuff, doesn't he?
Yes, we were just on the nail. Which luckily we had the judges that appreciated it on the day. Yeah, but we did this Gareth Church thing. We set off, great first movement, got to a lovely second movement, And my mate on soprano, I won't name him, he had not the best of days, shall we say. There were notes ringing round Cheltenham for as far as they would go. And then I turned to the band before last moment. I says, "Be ready, it's going to shift." I took it at lightning speed, a bit like Parksy in his heyday. Off we went and came off stage. In fact, Shona was in box. I thought, we've got no chance of winning with Shona in there. But we did.
Wow.
It's as well.
It's strange you mentioned about they'd copied the Kingy recording, whatever it was, you know. But I think that's a bit of a, not a cancer business, but people do that. I've heard people say, I don't know why we got 10th. We did exactly the same as Black Dyke did it on the regional CD or something. Why can't they just use it?
Make it right.
Why can't they just think for themselves? Yeah.
Read. Do you know, Sandy? Yeah. I'll just quote a couple of things. You know, how this conversation's going. Going back to my time in Australia, I played rep with this band, Enfield and Clemsey, and we were doing Kenilworth as the test piece. Now, they basically listened to an old Yorkshire Imperial recording of it.
Okay.
Now, they had to play it fast to fit it on the record.
Yeah.
They copied it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We didn't copy it, and we won.
Right.
But I hate people. I say, look, it's all there. If you can read music, you can read what's on that score. And the trouble is, the biggest cancer in today's banding, in my eyes, are these money-making regional CDs.
Yeah.
Because bands throw them together, they don't care about them. I've done them myself.
I have and all. Yeah.
You've never seen it. You put it on a record, and people think that's gospel.
I know. I can never understand that. You know. Yeah, I can never understand it. But I mean, I was, again, names will remain anonymous, but I was just talking about a week ago to somebody and this is a very, very good band. And they got some what we would term classic music out, right? Proper stuff, test piece type stuff. And it was a shambles, apparently. It was a shambles. And the conductor's there saying, what the hell's going on? And say, and the excuse was, how are we supposed to know this music? It's 40-year-old, 40, 50-year-old. As if, we didn't, I've never played this, and you think, whatever happened to just reading music?
Yeah.
I used to do it with kids in school, primary kids. If they couldn't read and they can't. They were in the library sometimes rehearsing in school, and I'd say, go and get them. What level are you on? I'm on green level. Go and get me a green level book, and they'd go and get one, and then they'd read it. And I'd say, right, was that a bit scary? No, because they were reading stuff you would expect them to read, And I said, this music's the same. Just apply what you know. Yeah. It's only crotchets, minims, semiquavers, whatever else. Read the bloody music. But that's one thing that gets me sometimes is just the lame excuses for not being able to. Yeah. I don't know it. Well, you see it on quiz shows on the telly. Who won the FA Cup in 1963? Oh, I don't know. Before my time.
Yeah. Well, a famous one, my dad. Sorry, Sammy. A famous one, my dad used to tell me, and I actually said this when I tech bands now. I said, right, my dad said, what's the first thing you look at when you get a new piece of music? I said, key signature. Yeah. No. You look at the title, because that'll tell you roughly what it's about. It'll give you an idea of what it is.
Yeah.
Right. What now? Key signature. No. He says, you look at who wrote it, because that'll give you some idea of how to play it.
Yeah, right.
Then try looking at the clef. Just in case.
Yeah, especially if you're a trombone player.
His main point was look at the title, because it says something like, dancers and arias, for one.
Yeah.
Or just use that as an example. Connotation. Whatever you might look at it, just think about that. Then, like if Wagner wrote it or Mozart wrote it, because you're going to approach it in two different ways, in my eyes.
Yeah, well, you should be doing, yeah.
Well, a famous judge, and this is a bit scary, this. Obviously, I'm not going to name any names, but I was taking, I think it was Barnsley on James Cook. And the Largamente, bom, 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 beady.
Yeah, the death bit, yeah.
I thought Largamente. And for some reason, I thought, I can't remember what that means. So I checked it. And obviously it means largely, doesn't it? Just big, expansive. So I went to this famous judge and I says, do you know what Largamente means? He says, oh yeah, it's just a bit slower than Largo.
What?
Yeah,
No.
exactly. A very famous judge. Yeah, very, very famous.
And that leads me on, Billy. Would you ever do any judging?
No, not in the slightest.
No.
Because I've done solo contest judging. We went to Switzerland with that group what Leyland had, Quintessence it was called.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Me, Russell Gray, Nick, Tom Veese, and we all went out. Tracy Redfern and that.
Yeah.
And we had to have this judges meeting. So before we went in, we had to list some tapes and say what we'd award them. You see, so they put this first cornet player on, and I don't, as you all know, that's done any judging. You've got your little sheet, haven't you, where you make adjustments and stuff. So they're playing this cornet player. Right then, Bill, because I was the new one. How many marks would you give that? I said 76. He said, hey, that was last year's winner. I says, I haven't heard anybody else yet. Right.
Yeah. So, fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair comment.
What would you give this one? I says, 78. Looked at me, I said, yeah, because it was 2 points better than one I've just heard. But it goes on, and this might sound awful. This cornet player came on and played Rule Britannia, and it was unbelievable. He went, ba-be-dee-dee-dee. I thought, this is Jim Shepherd or Roger in disguise. And I thought, wow, absolutely fantastic. A time limit on. So he played it there. He went, as fast as he could play it, right? And it was just ridiculous. Absolutely unbelievable. Gets to the tripling movement, stood there for 3 minutes, didn't play. Because he obviously couldn't triple, right?
Right.
And I looked at this judge next to me. I says, that one is going last. He said, oh no. He says, surely the home player was worse that tried to get through Alison's silver threads, right? I said, right. I don't care. That one is going last. And I wrote, we have to be constructive. And I wrote on the remarks. I says, no. Yeah, no, I just put wonderful opening, because it obviously was. I says, if you really feel the need to play this ridiculous tempo, at least get all the right notes. Thank you. And that was it. Right. I just thought, it's like people when they do a cadenza, Sandy, when you've got a sheet of music in front of you and they stick a cadenza in that you've not got there. If I can't see it, I can't judge it.
Yeah.
My dad always made me, well, my mum always used to do it. If we played anything different to what was on the music, she'd write it out and write what I was playing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but no, it's all a contest.
It's a shame. It's a shame, Billy, that you wouldn't consider judging, because you're far more qualified than a lot of people I could think of.
Yeah. But you know, Simon, and this is the thing. Our family, as good as it's been over the years, we've always been outspoken and maybe said things we shouldn't say. But in my opinion, I'm glad I said them, because you either like what I say and you're my friend, or you don't, and I don't care anyway.
Yeah, I'm with
you. Don't you think sometimes there's we need a bit more honesty?
Totally. I think we should have. Totally.
You know, I mean, there's people, we've talked about this before as well, that, and I speak to a lot of people, and they'll say things to me in private that they will not say in public. I disagree with that.
Yeah, I know, one. I know a very famous one that we were speaking about earlier, very similar to that, because they're scared. You get him in his own little together, one-on-one, is the nicest bloke you'd ever meet. But as soon as you bring company in, he puts up his defence mechanism and doesn't want to be seen, you know.
Well, I think a lot of people are just they're not willing to say what they really believe, in case it's going to come back and bite them on the bum another contest next year, when certain people might be judging or not judging or whatever, you know. So they won't, but they'll tell you in private.
Oh, they will.
Well,
but then they'll be totally different in public.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm certainly not going to slag you enough at 4 Bars Rest, but when you get these live comments and stuff, they're judging with who they're seeing on the stage. They're not putting things that they really mean. And when they turn around with statements like so-and-so has no peers, oh, come on, be honest. And people see these things and they don't see the depth that we see, that when we're sat, because I've always said, people that have known me as a player, no, I never had a minute. I did everything as much as I could. I wouldn't take time off. And you were the same, Sandy, with your big sound. There was some middle to the band. And a lot of these players, like Adam at Barnsley, they blow as loud as they can. And I say, if you played in some bands I've done, you'd never be heard.
Yeah.
You'd be swallowed up by sound.
Yeah.
With such as Simon on the bottom end and people like that. You're somewhat the engine room, somewhat to balance to, aren't you?
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. Like you said, some honesty, but can they be honest?
What do you see as the future of banding? Where's it going? Where is it now? All that sort of stuff.
Again, I'm probably the wrong person to ask that, but there's lots of people involved and there's lots of good things going off. I mean, look at Alex Francis with the band. I mean,
absolutely.
The things he's doing there are unbelievable.
Brilliant.
People like my dad with Golka Youth Band and all the youth bands and plenty more that was like Neil Jowett and all them that's gone, There's been a lot in the past. I think it's all about who can take the players now, isn't it? Such as like when Corey were taking all them from Wales and they all went to so-called good bands. But I do think the standard has definitely declined. Certainly consistency's gone. When I heard a performance from the Open, I was surprised how bad it was from a very big name band.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to say, I mean, we're recording this in the aftermath of Cheltenham and the Open, and you got to say, you look at the results and Yorkshire bands. Brighouse obviously won the Open. Unite won the first section. Yeah. Lee's band, South Yorkshire Police, won the second.
Oh, yeah.
Dobcross. No, they're not a Yorkshire band, but they're only across they're only across the hill.
Yeah.
And I know Arbroath won the full section. Queensbury were second. Yorkshire bands have done pretty well this year. So in those sort of things, I know it's not the be all and end all, but
You'll be pleased to know, Billy. I went up to Queensbury, our old band, and I did a section up there. I was massively impressed.
Really?
Yeah,
good.
They really did well.
Coming back.
Yeah.
Because I love playing with that band, Simon. I only left to go to work at Markham Main to get a job.
Yeah. Right.
We'd won Vaux Brassing concert. Do you remember that radio?
Yeah.
We'd won that, and like I say, I was only on end at 16. Oh, yeah. In fact, sorry to jump, it just reminded me of Andy Owenson, Sandy.
Yeah.
Remember, we were rehearsing for Spring Festival. It was a tournament for brass.
Yeah.
Can you remember? And I was Sandy, I was sat on end. And that on top.
Yeah, it's a brilliant bit.
I didn't think so at the time. I never heard the 3 notes. Andy Owenson was whacking his head. Funny.
Yeah.
No. I tell you what, I can play it out. I can still play it now.
Yeah.
So, what's the future hold for Billy Rushworth then?
Well, if I get the right band, I will have another go at conducting.
Yeah.
You take a decent band, as you know, I did a bit residence at Grimethorpe for a while, up in between while we were sorting things out. And I've never been a fan of Grimethorpe. I know that sounds silly. When I was at Frickley, we always wanted to be better than Grimethorpe, but we weren't. Yeah. It's a bit like Huddersfield and Leeds, isn't it? You don't know we exist. But Grimethorpe always thought they were this great band. Now, there might have been a decent band, but I just said, look at the titles board. That tells you the great bands are. I'm not knocking them, but I found that when I was conducting them, the players thought they were better than they were, and they didn't like being told. Mm-hmm. And I suspect that could be the same across the board.
Hang on, with just one final thing. If you say you're in the market for looking for a band, what would you be looking for from a band to entice you to wag again?
25 people,
right?
That all pull on the same rope, and I don't care how bad they are.
Okay.
So long as they try their best to do what I ask of them.
Yeah.
And that's all I want from a band. And if you
25 rehearsals,
as you know, if you get every man thinking in the same like-minded, if we're all doing what I say. It's like conducting now, I think. People say, where do you play? If you're too rigid with your beat, where should it be? Well, I think if my beat's square as heck, right, that'll be as musical or unmusical as I am. I don't believe in this playing 3/4 the way up the beat, you know.
No.
Because I just play on the beat. Kevin Bolton were nasty for that. But I tell you what, the old-fashioned bands were tight as a drum.
They were.
I don't know if you've ever heard Bickershaw Colliery, Sandy. Have you ever heard them?
I've got some old cassettes of tons and tons of 78s. The old Alf Morton, Fairies bass drum, he got me from a guy in Redcar. And all that sort of stuff is on there. And they're tight as anything. But you even go back to Co-op, Manchester Co-op, Murray Felton's as it was before it was Goss and all that. All the stuff, 50s, 60s bands. Yeah, the sound's different, the style's different than that. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, they're bloody tight.
Exactly. Bickershaw in the 40s, there were I think they only lasted because Major Hart, who he owned the pit, when they nationalised the coal board in 1947, they took his pit off him and his band, and he went out one morning and put his head on train lines, killed himself.
Jeez.
Because they'd taken everything off him. But out of the 6 years at the British Open, 1940 to 46, I think they won it 3 times and were second the others.
Right.
That's consistency.
Mm.
And a lot of them old Bessies, a bloke called Stephen Hughes, is something to do with Bessies. He sent me all sorts of stuff about my great uncle Bill because he played for the King, Affairs of the Waters in 1924. I've got the original parts for that. And just you hear the playing. Now, my great uncle Bill, he was obviously destined to be a trumpet player because his sound, if you played him today, a record of him today, all right, a little bit of vibrato, but you think it was a modern player.
Okay.
Because what the thing that gets me with orchestras throughout history, they've not changed much. They've hardly changed at all. But brass bands have evolved from this warbling mess. And don't get me wrong, if it says sends a vib, I'm snookered. But it's I've always been like that, you know. But I think today we could learn a lot from yesterday. Yeah. But unfortunately, people won't listen to yesterday. Because I did Dick Evans again. He got me doing a masterclass down south of England in Battle. And it was all these players from band and cornets. So I said, right, hands up, who's heard of Jim Shepherd? Not one hand went up.
Jesus.
Really?
This is going back a few years, and it's 98. So and then I said, okay, who's heard of Philip McCann? About two hands went up. I kid you not. And by the time I got to Roger, there weren't more than half a dozen. Right. I just thought that is sad because I always like to put stamp on things.
It's going back to this thing of we're talking about this rehearsal that happened just a few days ago. Oh, it's how are we expected to know this? It's 50-year-old. Well, it's never been easier to find music. Same with the quiz show things. I don't know the answer to that because it was before my time.
Yeah, well, it's education. Yeah. And going on about education, I actually educated myself when I was thinking about doing this for you. My dad always said to me when I was younger, because I used to watch Man from U.N.C.L.E. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Robert Vaughan, David McCallum. Ilya Kuryakin.
Yeah. Then, do you know anything about David McCallum, Sandy?
Not much.
Right, well, David McCallum, my dad said he used to play with David McCallum when they were kids. Right?
Really?
Same age, yeah. And I thought, he's talking rubbish here, my dad. Anyway, when I did some research, it turns out, David McCallum Senior, Scottish.
Yeah. I knew that was the bit I knew, yeah.
Came down to England as leader of the RPO, violinist.
What?
Now, David McCallum had his own little orchestra, little small chamber orchestra, of which my great uncle Bill was the trumpet player.
Wow.
So,
yeah, there you go.
I can only assume that when my dad went down to see his Uncle Bill, David McCallum Jr. were there.
Yeah.
So, and I've got all the stuff, pictures of him playing and stuff.
Great.
Wow. But again, just go back, educate yourself. Listen, my dad said you can learn something off the biggest idiot, even if it's how not to do it.
Yeah.
That's true.
You've got to listen. I always think when I always played, to the forefront, as you know, always it's sort of listening to me, you're having it. And I take that from listening to Jim as a kid with
Oh, God.
Here we go, listen to me.
Yeah.
Just great players. And I can name the ones that I grew up listening to. your James, another one, Bert Sullivan used to play Euphonium at Trust.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them, and just listen. And how come they could play in tune in them days? Have they changed instruments these days? They make them go really sharp.
God.
Okay, Billy, that's been absolutely fantastic. A real insight into you and your great family. We wish you all the best in your impending retirement, but please have a think about judging and putting something back as a conductor, because there ain't many like you.